What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a special snow day edition of the Buckets and Banter podcast. I am your host, George Marshall, here with my close friend, Jeffrey X. Bendel.
Hey,
Leaving the very simple with the middle name this time on the day back. How's it going, man?
great. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Just trying to navigate snow day life. I think that we have had we surprisingly have school. So tomorrow is Tuesday for this week, and we have school tomorrow. One of the few schools that do. We're on a 3 hour delay, but I'll be honest with you, after having 2.5 days off last week and then another day today, I am definitely ready for some consistency in my children's lives as much as I have enjoyed their time and everything that comes with the snow days. I actually tweeted about that, which is ironic why I'm saying this now. But I'm ready for some routine, man, especially not only for them, but just for my team as well.
Sure. I was at the gym today and I heard somebody talking about they ran out of remote learning days or something of that
Yeah.
nature. Yeah. It reminded me of how great it was to be born before now because man, having a snow day was a great
It
time.
was so
To
lit. Oh
think that
my God, it was
they're
lit.
having school at home is just
Yes.
that sucks.
Like and for us when we had I mean, so when in the peak of when I experienced snow days, I was living in central Pennsylvania. So I lived in State
Oh
College.
wow.
So like real snow, real like mountainous terrain, like you're going down like with, the second that a snow day occurs, you're immediately like somewhere where you're sledding with friends. Um,
Yeah.
and
That
that's
was a
when
fun
like,
time.
oh my gosh, totally,
Fun
totally
only.
different, man. I wouldn't trade my adolescent experience for the world. It was perfect. Being an adolescent now sucks. Like it just does. You don't experience the same stuff. You think that things that are so lame are so cool. Like it just is nonsense.
But that is a whole philosophical and psychological conversation for a completely different day and podcast.
Sure, but I will go on a 6 hour rant about that.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you're not wrong. I completely agree.
snow days have been great though. I mean, we never experienced them in North Carolina. Shout out to the weather, shout out to the Lord above for those great experiences we've had over the last couple of weeks. But it has not been without some impact on the basketball season. That is for certain. I mean, we've got teams scrambling to get games in. We're in that boat. I know that other schools are in that boat. Charlotte is out again tomorrow. That's major for them. Um, it's difficult and it's challenging for athletic directors and coaches to do what they have to do in the winter. But that's somewhat of a normal segue to just general takeaways about the high school season. For the people who do listen, we haven't done one of these since the start of the high school basketball season. And honestly, that's been somewhat intentional. I think that us going down to maybe like a once a month type deal is appropriate. Not that we didn't enjoy doing it weekly, but just in terms of what Jeff says all the time, like there's just simply a lack of content. So by giving ourselves a month, we now have great things to discuss. We're pumped about this episode, but what are some of your takeaways about the high school season thus far?
I mean, overall, I think it's been really good throughout. I think the start was really exciting as it always is, and then here we started to kind of get into the nitty gritty of things, and teams really start to separate themselves going into the playoffs. Um, I mean, I'll let you kind of start talking about teams while I kind of. I mean, I think actually the parity of the top private school teams has been really great. I mean,
Right.
independent I think has been a little bit quiet this year in terms of Moravians kind of dominated that whole thing, and they're doing their own separate thing with overtime for the most part.
Sure.
So it's been really like you see the teams at the top, Greensboro Day, Concord Academy, Forsyth, Greenfield, you guys, obviously. I mean, Gaston Christian. There's just a lot of really, really, really good talent in private school right now. Yeah, and I think even on the public school side, you still have a bunch of teams like Southern Durham, Smith, Queens Grant,
Sure.
West Charlotte, North Mac, obviously, like ton of really talented teams at the top, and maybe that's more transfers, more just an influx of talent. I'm not sure, but it has really been fun to see.
It is funny because my takeaway was actually going to be about public school. And so I think that a lot of the stuff you're saying is super valid. And I think that private school basketball in general has really seen, it's had a great year. There's been a great balance. A lot of the things that we've wanted to see happen have in terms of the teams that were supposed to be good are and they're taking steps in that direction towards the state playoffs. You know what I was thinking about though is what you just said really made me think about how the landscape changes so fast on a year-to-year basis because I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know that you could have imagined having a better independence in like truly independent, not public, not private set scene in North Carolina when you had Moravian, who was great, you had Winston-Salem Christian, who was great, but then you also had great Combine, great Liberty Heights, and great Word of God. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap, that was some unbelievably good basketball in the state of North Carolina. And that's in addition to having kids stay at their placement schools for public school and having great private school. I don't know how other people feel about this, but I certainly would like to get that depth of talent back in some capacity because I think it just adds more to the state when those teams are good. It's kind of the same as, the NBA or really any professional or collegiate sport where like there's just certain teams you want to see be successful so that it elevates the rest of everything. But here's what my biggest takeaway was. How about some of these public school like environments right now? And no shade to some of the stuff that's happened recently. I'm not saying that, and I hope that people don't take it as such. What I'm saying more is like there are true star players, some of whom we will talk about in a minute when we get into the second section of today's podcast, that are elevating the environments for public school basketball right now. And you're starting to see kind of a resurgence in that way. Obviously, you wish that as a state with so much talent, we could keep kids here and be in a situation where we feel really confident about doing so. But when you think about like Southern Durham, Smith, West Charlotte, North Mac, like these teams that have these super high profile dudes, like that's elevating the space and that's elevating the state. So huge shout out to those teams and teams like them. I think that West Forsyth being good is a great like curveball that I don't think a lot of people expected. And now we're in a situation where that's just great for the state of North Carolina as a whole.
Yeah, I would only add on to what you just said at the end there that unexpected after Jakari Brim graduates and they
Right.
kind of have to reset their structure and who they are, their identity as a team. Not because that program's been successful for quite a bit.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But I think, yeah, and that's no shade to them either. I'm just using it as like you're undefeated.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like this is, and people can say whatever they want about a schedule. Guys, like at some point, you're playing conference road games. Like, it's tough. And those big public schools, it's super, super difficult. But shout out to the high school coaches and the high school players, man. We're doing a tremendous job. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome so far. Um, let's get into the content for today. So, as we get started, as you guys know, as the listeners, we've got three primary topics that we're going to get into. The first one today is going to be a reflection on some of our early takeaways regarding the NBA. I'm going to say some things that I know Jeff won't agree with, but I'm also going to say some things that obviously are very exciting, specifically for the team in our great state and right down there in the Queen City. Then we're going to get into a topic we're really excited to talk about, which is we're going to do a serpentine draft of the Gatorade Player of the Year nominees. We had a group of 10 guys that we feel really, really good about. Some are kind of like, underrated candidates, and some are like, these are no-brainer, top tier, should be, first pick and whatever it is that we're doing. But huge to do that. And I think that we're really excited, both of us, about that topic. And then the last one's going to be about, we're approaching AAU season, which is nuts. I know for you, that's like beyond crazy because that's when weekends pick up even more. There's no delay, like there's no time off for you. It's just go, go, go. So the importance of making smart AAU decisions and what that looks like and how it differs from player to player. All of those things I think we're really excited to get into. But let's start with topic one, and I'm going to turn it over to you. We got to talk about the Hornets, man. We were crapping on them pretty hard in our first episode. That was widely regarded and really well received. People love that.
That's
But
true.
they're in the last month, they're kind of making us eat crow right now. Like they're playing some good basketball. It's tough to debate that they've found something that is working in the modern game. And so I'd love to hear your stance and takeaways on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it starts with obviously they drafted Concanipple and he's sensational
Killer.
right from the start. And he's only gotten better, which is seemingly ridiculous given how good he was just to start the year. Just adding a player like him automatically raises their floor. As we said before the season, I think that was common knowledge that he was going to come in and he was going to be an immediate floor raiser for this team. And apparently he's also going to be a ceiling raiser and like a potential star. You know,
Yes.
I think he's already. You look at somebody like Austin Reeves, which I hate to make this like white to white comparison, but it's like he's a guy who is already so much further along at that same stage than someone like Austin. Like he's to me as good as Austin Reeves is right now, arguably at least,
Right.
which seems crazy to say because Austin Reeves is about to be a max guy probably on his next deal,
Sure.
but he's been incredible. But I think beyond that, Brandon Miller picking up where he left off last
Amazing.
year. He obviously was hurt for most of the year last year, and I think he was, really good when he played. But now it's coming to fruition, and he's just kind of continued on that trend. Shooting a career high from three, and I think LaMelo's contributing more to winning than he ever has. I don't know that he's
Mhm.
ever going to be the best player on a championship team. I stand by that.
Sure.
Um, Musa Diabate has been a revelation for them. Ryan Kalkbrenner has been another guy who's like just another a smart, competent piece who knows his role.
Absolutely.
Some of his net rating stuffs kind of went up and down and kind of fluctuated this year, but overall, just their rotation of competent pieces has really, I mean, to me, is really what's made them so much better. I will say, I don't know that we were out of line with what we said before the season, though, because I even wrote, "Is Charlotte going to be the most fun sub 40 win team ever?" And I think that could be true. I
That
think
might
that's
still be true.
that. Well, yeah. I mean, they would have to really do something to. I don't know if they can. Either way, I'll look into that. But either way, yeah, what they've shown in this last month is kind of shocking.
Yeah,
Almost as
it
if they
is.
could continue doing this, um, maybe Charlotte can be successful.
I think that so I love it. I mean, this is the most invested I've been in an NBA team in probably a decade. Um, I will be very honest in saying that if it was not for Charlotte and if it was not for Nikola Jokic, I would be like totally out on the NBA, not caring about it whatsoever. But those two storylines are just so fascinating. Like you mentioned one thing that I really think is important, the ascension of Brandon Miller. I think that it is right to give Khan credit. I told my team at TBS that I think that Khan is going to get $500 million in one of his contracts at some point. And I really do believe that
Not
because
crazy.
like it's based on the way that the market is going and the inflation with how his skill set works. He's shattering right now Steph Curry 3-point records as a rookie. Like these are things that you just didn't expect to take place, and it's been awesome to see. But Brandon Miller, like the steady leading scorer. I mean, he's the guy that has kind of taken the reins in that way. And it's so amazing to think about the fact that the majority of this roster is still so young. What I get weary of is, I used to follow the Wizards a lot when they had John Wall and when they had Bradley Beal and those teams. Is this just that 2.0, where it's like your peak is the second round?
Yeah,
That still would be a tremendous, like if they won a playoff series, can you imagine? Like
that would be the
what's
first one
so
since they were the
what's so
Bobcats,
funny
since they
about
came
this is like
back.
between the Hornets and the Panthers, it's like you're both bad, but you're not. So it's fascinating.
The
Like
Panthers have been better than the Hornets.
historically, yes, but I'm talking about right now today.
Sure.
Like in this situation, the Panthers are still not a good football team. They're wildly inconsistent. However, they were a playoff team one possession away from going to and advancing into the next round of the NFL playoffs. If this team has a chance to do that, and then the ascension of these two can kind of take off simultaneously, that would just be amazing for the city of Charlotte, man. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I also
Real
they're
quick,
20.
one thing that I will say just in terms of an undercover edition for them, we like Vince Carter mentioned this on his podcast with Tracy McGrady, Cousins, like an amazing, like fantastic idea to do that. And they get real about when T-Mac goes to Orlando in that episode, and that's definitely something that people should go and listen to. Um, but when you start hearing him talk about the importance of veterans in a locker room, you cannot underscore what Colin Sexton has meant to the Hornets. And that is a crazy comment to say, right? Like that Colin Sexton could be this like spearhead. And again, I don't even think the Hornets are in the playoffs if the season ends, if the playoffs started today. I don't even think they're in the play-in
No,
game.
they're not. I don't think they're.
However, the fact that they have this roster put together and they're starting to really show signs of hope. I hope that they transition that into something. I mean, if they host a play-in game, man, that place would be rocking. It'd be a special thing for the city. So I'm happy that they're taking off on that way, man. It's a huge deal.
They're just outside of that, but yeah, they can still win. They can still win more than 40 games. That would that would be surprising, I think. But um, yeah, I mean, I echo everything you say. The one thing I will say that is kind of surprising is looking at their lineups, their lineup numbers. Miles Bridges just kind of okay.
Right,
His numbers are a little deceiving. He's just been kind of okay for him. I mean, I've been a fan of Miles Bridges, but we'll see. We'll see if he's
right.
maybe a potential trade piece for them down the road.
I mean, I think it'd be a fascinating thing if that did take place. The only other thing that I even have any remote knowledge of in terms of the NBA this year is just the dominance of Nikola Jokic. Like, I just, anyone who argues at this point that he's not the best player in the NBA, I just don't understand what you could possibly be watching. When they came out with the data from since 2020 statistics, and
Yeah,
he's leading the NBA in total points, total rebounds, total assists, and total steals. And I'm
yeah.
pretty sure this year he's a 50, 40, 90 player, or at
Yep.
least somewhere close to that.
No,
Like
he is.
it's
I think he's still in 60, 40, 90 territory. The
which
first
is,
potential
I
player to
mean,
ever
what are
do
we
that.
what are we even talking about?
First
Like
ever.
he had a game where he swished 13 shots. Like these are just like unheard of level of IQ and accuracy. Um, and I think that in the era of highlights and in the era of dunks and in the era of like crossovers, there's just something to be said about IQ and footwork that will always reign supreme. Um,
Yeah, 29, 12, 11 on 61, 44, and sorry, 84 from the line.
I mean, regardless,
Yeah.
like it's just remarkable. I think that for him, and you've said this when we've talked about this in the past, if he wins another ring, there's going to be some uncomfortable conversations that need to be had about his place all time.
Yeah, top 10.
For sure. For sure. What are some other storylines real quick before we get to the next topic about that in the NBA that are you're an NBA guy, I'm not. So like I'm interested to hear your stance on that.
Yeah, I'll run through a couple real quick. I mean, I think I'll just look at a few. Obviously, Oklahoma City coming out and looking like they were going to just go 79-2 or something, or three and something
They
crazy.
really did.
And then they just like it's as if San Antonio just space jammed them and then took all the everything away.
Right.
Honestly, my thing with them, and I know it's probably not a popular opinion. I thought probably before the season, if they could have, I would have explored trading Jalen Williams. I
Mm,
think he's a guy that kind of messes up what makes Shea look so good. He kind of gets in the way. Um, he's overqualified to be
right.
in in an Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace type role, but he's too good, or he's not good enough to take away from what Shea does,
No,
in my
he's
opinion.
not
So
Shay. I agree with
yeah,
you
exactly.
100%.
So I think that he's a guy that isn't won't get traded, but probably should be looked at. They'll still coast to 60 wins probably, and we'll just maybe 65, and then we'll just kind of shrug this off in the end.
Sure.
Um, I think the Pistons still being good is crazy.
Fascinating.
Just just and it's amazing because everybody wanted to make a deal and potential Anthony Davis deal or something like that. And I just think that it's absurd to say in 2026 that I don't know if I would trade Tobias Harris if I he's on the
Right.
table for Anthony Davis. Like, I know that sounds absurd, but like
What's the cohesion, right? Like
exactly,
you don't
and
want
like
to get rid of that in that locker room because
it's the
they
Danny
should
Granger, Evan Turner
yeah.
thing.
I think they should just ride it out. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, you're at a
obviously
point
Anthony
now
Davis is
where just
great, but his health is whatever. So other than that, I mean, obviously, how where we the Nuggets finish. Jamal Murray's been amazing this year. Peyton Watson's been great. Those guys have really stepped up.
what's
The
your Giannis prediction?
where he'll go,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think if he gets his way, and what he mentioned, Toronto, New York, and Miami.
sure.
I don't know that Miami presents a better situation than he's going to be in now. Really, I mean, ultimately, I think
Not
that
with what they give up.
the Knicks exactly, and then the Knicks, like what I assume they want to keep Brunson. What does Giannis and Brunson look like after we already saw a theoretical better version of what was supposed to work with him and Dame?
A better spacing version, yeah.
Exactly. So and like that's not going to work. I mean, that I don't see how that works. And then the other Toronto, like that fascinates me. But to say that Brandon Ingram and or Scotty Barnes is untouchable, Brandon Ingram is untouchable for Giannis.
Right. For
Just do what you did with Kawhi and go get Giannis and then win a title.
for 30 and 12 automatic. Like he's not, yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that.
Like, but I think that they also still have moves that they would have to make too, just because Emmanuel quickly, I don't think is a starting caliber point guard on a championship team. I like him, but I just same with RJ Barrett. Like RJ Barrett has proven to be kind of a hollow stats guy in the NBA. He's productive, but at
Yeah.
what to get where to the 8 seed, the 4 seed, maybe. Scotty
They
Barnes is
are a
fine.
little surprising though. The Raptors. They're a pleasant surprise. I think
I
you would
think that
agree.
they're really well coached. Brandon Ingram's been really good. Scotty Barnes, this has been a really up year for him. Jakob Poeltl's
Sure.
been solid as always. I mean, and like I said, those other two guys produce. It's not like they're not productive. It's just I don't know if plopping
And
Giannis in
Giannis
the
on that
spot
Greek.
for if you put Giannis in place for RJ Barrett and something else, I don't are they definitely the favorites?
Not in the East.
Not in the East,
I don't they're not better than the Pistons.
and that's my concern. Like if they're
Right.
not better than the Pistons, then what are we doing?
Yeah. No, I think that all of that makes sense. Now that I've like really gotten into this conversation, maybe I don't think the NBA sucks, but like I think that these storylines, trade deadline always adds a little bit of something to it. Um, I don't know your opinions about the All-Star game, but like holy crap, what a disaster those.
Just throw it away at
It's
this
like
point.
I don't even understand what they're doing. Like
We're
that,
gonna play 6 quarters, and everyone's gonna play 3 minutes a quarter, and
well, and the rosters suck. So
yeah,
like it's just one of those things where, they're going to lose viewership probably pretty horrifically this year if I had to guess. But anyway, let's get into
one
the
more
go
add on
ahead.
about Giannis is you know how many guys his I mean Bill Simmons said the same thing, but how many guys at his size have we seen that have gotten traded at 31,
Right.
whatever, especially non-shooters? I mean, not that that's ever been a real thing in the past, but how's his game going to age? Like he's still dominant, but like how is his game going to age in the
I've
next
always worried
5
about
years?
that. I think that like players like him, like what Russell Westbrook, there's always going to be that question.
Sure.
But Westbrook is kind of finding his niche as that guy for teams that just aren't very good. So I don't want that to become Giannis because he still has some years to give in terms of like a real prime.
Yeah.
But I think that I am with you. Like he's not going to be an 18-foot pull-up guy, and that's not in modern basketball. So you either need to become really elite on catch and shoot threes and become like what Blake Griffin was, or you need to just continue to figure out and be in a system where you can be who you are as long as you
And
can.
he can just become like the worst version of Giannis is just a rim protecting big.
Right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
just
Uh,
10, 12 or 15,
like
12
imagine
a
if he
night.
was the five instead of Moose on the
Oh
Hornets.
my God.
But that's the thing though, right? But anyway,
The
let's
worst version of him is a 7 foot version of Draymond Green.
so let's get into the high school portion of this. There's a lot of conversations right now, and there's been a lot of great individual performances by players worthy of being a finalist for the Gatorade Player of the Year. Now, candidly, Jeff and I think we can just say this openly, I don't know if it can go to reclass kids. I don't know if it can't. I don't know if it can go to someone at an independent school versus a public or private school. I don't know any of that information. So all we're doing is taking a list of 10 guys, we're going serpentine, and we're going to draft a team of five. Now, again, we're not trying to draft the best team. We're just going first pick, then two picks, two picks, two picks, all the way till the end. But each of these guys deserves a tremendous amount of praise. And again, if you didn't hear your name called, like, I don't know. I mean, just working hard. Like, what do you want me to say? These are
It's a
we're pretty
five-man
we're
draft.
pretty confident one of them that we say is going to win.
I'd be
So if your
shocked
name's
if one
not
of these guys.
called, then let's just move right along and push past it. So let's get into it. So I'm not even going to say the list that we created. Let's not even say it. Let's just get into the draft. I'm going to let you take first pick, and then we're going to go from there.
Yeah, I think to me the most obvious choice on the board, Deontay Neal. I don't know what to say about the guy. I mean, for what he continues to do, for what Reedsville lost, Paul Kaufman, I understand, transferred in,
Good
and
player.
that's a
Good player.
huge ad. For what they lost and how how he's able to really carry this team is one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. Is truly one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in high school basketball at least since I've been following it or involved with it. So he's putting up ridiculous numbers every single night
Crazy.
across the board on high level stages. I don't know. I honestly don't have the words for it. I mean, they only have one loss. They're 12-1 right now.
Yep.
He's currently averaging 37 points a game on with it's 8.5 assists
Yeah.
and 4.5 rebounds and 6 steals a game. I mean, it's video game stuff in real life, and it's Deontay, the smallest guy out there, is the most. It's just a killer, man. He's just unbelievable. It's truly been amazing to watch him the whole time.
It's going to be hard to surpass what he's been able to accomplish. I think if they win a state championship, it's pretty much got to go to him at that point. And it's not far-fetched given the classification they're in and given the way that he's playing. Best pace in North Carolina. I didn't realize he was that good of a shooter until I watched him play live in terms of like off the catch or the bounce. Really impressive. And decision making is great. So Deontay, 100% is just as he's there. I mean,
If
he's
they
won
win it
already. He's
all,
been unbelievable
if they win it all, we're talking about one of the best high school careers possible
ever
ever.
in all sports.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
This is
amazing.
all without mentioning that he's a Division I football playing
Sure.
talent.
There's no question, man. There's no question.
Yeah.
So my two, first one, I'm going Kobe Edwards. Next one, I'm going Jai Dawkins.
Ugh.
Um, I know you're pissed about losing Jai on that pick, but I think that's a good pick as
Both great
well.
picks.
I mean, right now, let's talk about Kobe, right? Um, I've competed against Kobe for 5 years, since he was an eighth grader. So when I start thinking about his ascension, I think that his performances at the John Wall Invitational, the way that he's been able to approach and navigate everything with regards to his platform has been amazing. I mean, it's one thing if you just say that you have a platform, you have cameras everywhere, you have this or that. That's been earned by him. Like he has showcased talent far and beyond what I think some people would have expected when he was an eighth grader. And that's just a testament to his hard work. He has great parents. But when we start talking about performances on the court, like to be the Gatorade Player of the Year, you need signature moments. Kobe has signature moments. Winning the John Wall Invitational, buzzer beater in the second round over Highland, like just stuff that when you start talking about kind of his aura and the way that he carries himself in a gym, it's special to see, and it's been great. It's been great to kind of celebrate that. And every time I see his parents, I just talk about how highly I think of him. I actually texted him immediately after we played them and we got our butts whooped by them in November. And I told him, I said, listen, I love competing against you, but I sure am going to be happy when you graduate. And he laughed, and that was a good exchange. But great kid. I think he's highly deserving of that. And then Jai, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that there is a player in North Carolina who embodies what I value as a coach more than Jai Dawkins.
Yeah,
Like,
we've
I
talked about
I
this.
love talking to his father about basketball. Like, I genuinely love talking to Dexter Dawkins about the game. And when I was watching them play Southeast Raleigh, one of the things that I noticed, this doesn't even include the 50-point games, the 2,000 career points, the potential back-to-back state championship, like the unstoppable best motor in high school sports. Like, maybe not debatable that he has the best motor in all of North Carolina, but just the little things like a guy crosses the lane and he gives him the old school bump, like just right there. Like, you're not going to move on this court wherever you think you're going to move. And just talking to his dad and expressing that to him, and his dad being like, oh, he'll hit you. He'll hit you. Like, it's just this, like, this has been ingrained in who Jai is. But he's been tremendous and Kobe has been tremendous. Both worthy selections for this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Greenfield's been one of the top teams, and obviously Kobe's been the leader of the whole charge. Same with Jai. I mean, I think they had a little skid there towards Christmas or whatever, but still one of the top public school teams in the state, and Jai is clearly the focal point of that team. So going to my next two picks, I'm going to go with Antonio McCoy
Wow.
and Jaleel Smith.
Ah,
Yeah, I know I was gonna have to get him early.
that's
So
tough. That's tough at this early.
yeah,
Um,
well, you do what you got
but
to do.
you're right in having them that early, but I'm excited to hear your perspective there.
I think I've watched Antonio McCoy as much this season as any non-Herald's Christian affiliate. They've been at so many events, and I feel like I've literally watched every game that they played at our events, back gym or not, or whatever. Um, and I feel like I've watched Antonio McCoy, even when he doesn't play well by his standards, he still just somehow walks away with 40 or 38 or something
That's so
ridiculous.
true.
I
It's
mean,
true.
and it's the way that he puts so much pressure on defenses the whole time. I mean, if he gets up and down in transition, if he rebounds and pushes, he's going to the rim, and
Yeah.
he's got such great body control, and he uses his length so well around the basket. Obviously, he's a great athlete, but and then he's hitting shots, doing shot making stuff. So really, an all around game for him this year has been incredible. Again, another team that they lost pieces last year. So
Mhm.
for this team right now to continue to maintain the standard, both him and his cousin Deshaun have been unbelievable in my opinion. And then moving on to Jaleel Smith, I mean, I'm not shy to say that I think Jaleel is easily one of my, if not my favorite player in the state right now.
Right.
Uh, he's just so much fun, not only from the way that he plays, the flair that he has, just the precision that he plays with. Um, Obviously, he's a really technically sound player, in addition to exciting and whatever. But he's a real competitor. Like, that was the thing that I think
Mhm.
stood out to me the most watching him, is that he's an incredible competitor. Yeah, and he really just wants to rip out whoever he's playing's heart. This year, Huss has been, I think, better than anybody anticipated
For
going
sure.
into the year, and he's averaging 31, 7.5, 5 assists, 6 steals. I mean, ridiculous stuff. We much less for a sophomore. I'm excited to see what he does, assuming he continues to stay there. I mean, he's going to chase potential scoring records himself,
Sure.
and he's continuing to carry the team at such a high level. It goes without saying he should be in contention this early.
Yeah, known Antonio for some time, competed against him, no issues there. Everything you said, spot on. Jaleel was someone that I will say to the listeners, I added Jaleel to this list. So great, a great pick by Jeff. But in our initial list of 10, this was a Marshall
And
acknowledgments.
George, we didn't
Um,
even. We were naming 10 players. We like you said him first. Congrats.
how about
I
six?
drafted him first.
No, you did. You did. How about six steals? Like
Yeah,
what? Like
Deontay numbers.
literally. And now, especially for Jaleel, and I'll say this just as a private school coach, I think he benefits from staying public.
I
I
agree.
think it allows him to be who he is, to be that type of player with that toughness, with that tenacity. Um, I think so highly of him as a player. I think that it's a great decision for him to go back there and just continue to be great. And now Huss is going to be one of the top teams in their classification. They're going to have a chance to win it all because of players like him. So
Yeah, I
huge.
don't know what classification they are. They may be like 13A or
Yeah,
28
who
or
cares? Like,
whatever they're at now.
that's a separate conversation, but I do want to just address like how freaking awful is eight? Like, what in the world? But separate time. I'll kind of let that go. So my next two, I'm going to go with two guys who we played against this year. I'm going to go Cam Newman from Gaston Christian, and I'm going to go Justin Caldwell from Fayetteville Academy.
Good pick.
Um, when you start thinking about Cam Newman specifically, I've seen it firsthand. Um, he's just amazing, man. I mean, the way he rebounds for his position is pretty unbelievable. Another one of those guys, not dissimilar from the other guards that we've seen and mentioned, but just a smaller guard with just a heart of an amazing competitor. It's been great to see his ascension. Gaston Christian is one of the best teams, I think, in the state, and I think that it would be foolish for anyone to say otherwise. That the top four in 3A private this year, that is going to be a battle of epic proportions, and they are definitely in the playoffs gonna want to get back at some of these teams that have beaten them. I mean, I think that, beating GDS earlier in the year, tremendous, right? But lost to Concord Academy. So there's still some unfinished business there that they've got to tend to. But he's awesome. Huge fan of Cam. His stats are ridiculous. Great shooter, great facilitator. I think he's shown this year that he should be on that list. Justin Caldwell, I mean, just video game numbers. Like, probably no big better in the state at just catching, sealing, dunking. Like, cut out all the mess. Forget all this nonsense about the six dribble moves and all this crap. Like, if you don't box me out, I'm dunking the ball on your forehead. And the reality for Justin is on a nightly basis, when he wants, he's 30 and 15. Like, there's no question about it. We struggled with him, obviously. We couldn't keep him off the boards. Um, and I just think that having players like that in North Carolina is so important. Like, we've named all guards, essentially, guards or wings. For him to be really the only true big that's listed, I think says a lot about him and about the season he's having.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, both guys great. Cam, consummate floor general, and Justin Caldwell's just been a beast, like you said. I mean, possibly you could argue the as dominant as anybody east of Raleigh this year.
100%.
Um,
100%.
for my next two picks, I'm going to go with Marty Giant and AJ Mormon.
Love those.
Marty Giant, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, even though GDS, it always, I mean, Sans Jaden Young's senior year is just an incredibly balanced team. Um, Marty's complete. Like, I think he's the thing that he's what makes them go, in my opinion. The better he is, the better that team is. Obviously, Micah Gunter, high level player, and they have a slew of other guys on the team that are huge pieces. But I really do feel like Marty is just the senior leader, the vet, affects the game in so many different ways. And obviously,
100%.
GS is one of the top teams in the state, and I would say he's arguably the best player on their team, or at least the most important. And then AJ Mormon, kind of similar thing. Even though he's a sophomore, similar to Jaleel, it's like what can you say? He's been great yet again. He was awesome as a freshman at Southern Durham, and then yet again as a sophomore, he's just been kind of unbelievable um, against everybody, against whoever they play, and they're looking like they're going to make another deep run again this year.
Yeah, the reason I like the two guys that you said are that now AJ has had signature moments. He played great in the state championship. He had a buzzer beater when he was a freshman in the John Wall. So he has had signature moments where he has elevated his game and really taken off. Marty this year is finally having those signature moments, being the best player on the court whenever they played Forsyth Country Day, being in a situation where at the John Wall, he's guarding, 4 stars, 5 stars, and he's battling and locking them up. Like he needed those moments to, I think, get to a place where these types of conversations were logical. But now I think that both of these guys have demonstrated that. So huge shout out to them, man. And again, like, when you start thinking about the depth of talent in North Carolina, this kind of shows it. Like to have a few sophomores on this list says a ton about that class in general. But I'm going to round out the two groups of five with Chase Smith, excuse me, from Washington Pampack. Um,
Nice.
Highlight reel, bucket getter, has really taken a step as a point guard this season. They have some pretty big wins as well, honestly, for the Pam Pack. I mean, they beat Southern Durham at Good Guys by 20. Like they've had some pretty significant wins. And I think that for him, what I love to see is 8 assists a game, like
Mm-hmm.
right there at the top of the top in terms of the state of North Carolina. I think he's top three right now. He's scoring 23 a game in addition to that. So just insane usage. But at the same time, I don't think that those were his assist numbers last year, and it's not been on this stage.
Right.
So for him to start to elevate to being a facilitator and still dominating the way that he is, having that dog mentality, I think it's a no-brainer to have Chase on this list as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Fully deserving. Chase has been great.
Awesome. Guys, again, if you didn't hear your name, get over it. If you did hear your name, keep working. We're excited to see who the person is going to be to earn the Gatorade Player of the Year award. I think that all of these guys have made an argument for it. I think that the top of the group has kind of separated themselves. So I think that just so you guys know, like that's our rationale and thought process behind it. But let's get into the final topic before we talk about our sound offs. Um, Smart AAU decisions. Jeff, we're approaching AAU season. We're approaching a time that is pivotal for uh, whether or not people want to believe it. It's a pivotal decision in terms of how difficult it is to be recruited right now as a high school player. If you make the wrong decision, it can cost you. It's tough to trust certain people out there right now. And I think that helping kids and players and their families understand the importance of this is really critical. And I think that this is a good time to bring up this message
Mhm.
as AAU decisions are starting to be finalized and made and announced.
Sure.
So just explain your thoughts. I know you've written an article on this. I think that your perspective is really valuable.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I try to stay away from advising kids. But it comes down to three things ultimately that matter most for me: development, level, and fit. Development to me is pretty self-explanatory, as are most of these. Um, are you in a situation where you're actually developing? I know that seems kind of like that's is that really what summer basketball is for? Yes, you should be constantly developing at this age, especially as a high school kid.
Right.
Uh, or going into high school, you should be constantly developing. If you're in a situation where you're not developing, you need to change that. Level, again, self-explanatory. Are you playing competition that is of your ability? Do you want the EYBL logo on your shirt so bad that you're willing to be the 13th man and never play?
Mm,
Um, or are you willing to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond and kind of solidify yourself and your game? Like, I think that's what's often lost in this is playing for a smaller program or playing for a team that may not be as big or flashy is often seen as like kind of like playing at a lower level. But if you're able to play at a high level, you are a higher level than kids that aren't as playing as much or playing as well at a
yeah,
higher level theoretically. So
100%.
that all comes back down to just who are you playing against? Is the competition strong enough? Is it too strong? Et cetera, et cetera. And then fit. I think fit it goes without saying, if you don't mesh with your teammates, if there's no cohesion, if coaching staff, what have you, if you don't feel like it's a even stylistic fit, I think that's also huge and important. I mean, travel ball is a little bit less slow and more up and down, but
Yeah.
in general, like that can impact how you develop. Like, are you in a situation where if you're a big, are you getting touches? If you're a post up player, are you getting touches? Is it just whoever has the ball is the one that's scoring? Stuff like this. I mean, these are just important things. I think the other thing that kind of goes all with all this is research is free. I hate to
Amen.
continue to
Amen.
say this.
Amen. Amen.
It's like, how many times do people have to be fooled by the same people? Just ask yourselves basic
Or
questions.
want to be fooled. That's a separate thing, but I'll get
Ignorance is
to that.
bliss. There's more people that are uninformed than are actually intentionally making foolish decisions, I think. So that's really where it comes into play. Um, these people are just, I mean, it's easy to take advantage of people that aren't in the know. But that said, like, I lost my train of thought. But ultimately, just like you need to be in a situation where you're gonna achieve all three of these things. And yeah, if you're not, I would research. Um, yeah, what have these programs that you're looking into? What have these coaches or these programs done with players like you? That
Hmm.
you can just go back to previous years. If you're a tweener, athletic tweener, and they don't have guys like that in the past, or they have guys like that haven't been successful, consider that in your decision making process. This is not crazy to do. This is not insane to suggest. And I don't know why people don't do this. It's just sometimes the name and the brand takes over a lot of these things. And this isn't just applying to shoe circuit teams. I mean, whether it's a coach's name or whoever, it's like, don't just go where you necessarily think you should go. Go where you need to go. I know it's a hard thing to differentiate, but like that's the fine line between it.
Yeah. So I think that the first two things that you said really made me think about the following. And what's funny about this is, being in this space, I think that it is more important now than ever, especially for people, and I can say this as a director of a shoe sponsored team. Even if you're on a shoe sponsored team, please make sure that the roster construction of that team is conducive to you being successful. There
Exactly.
are many players who have to embrace roles of sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth man, whatever the case may be. And that is not necessarily a bad thing on a shoe circuit team as long as there is clarity around what it takes for you to be successful in that role. And I think that that is something that is often forgotten. So I appreciate you kind of mentioning that. But when I think about my three things regarding this, first of all, and what's so funny about this is like coaches get so hell bent about doing things a certain type of way. I'm here to tell you the number of kids who have reached out to me just for advice on this. And I give very, very direct advice about I think that you should pursue this team, this type of organization. I don't think that the circuit is what's right for you right now. I'm very candid with those conversations, and I think you have to be. But my three, and the first one it starts for me, kind of similar to your point about development and level, is you got to be on the court.
Yeah.
You have to play,
Yeah.
period. That's the biggest thing. If you're not willing to play, then or if you want to go and take a back seat because you think that there is a bigger platform out there at the circuit level, you have to understand that there will be real challenges with that when it comes to your recruitment. I think that those types of things are very important for people who have not really reflected on their level and who they're in contact with and the coaches that are contacting them. Guys, at this point, like it, if you haven't really been contacted the way you need to, then you need to pick a team where you're going to play a lot and probably need to play for an independent organization. And guess what? There is literally nothing wrong with that. It is what leads to your success, and it is about you making a decision that is best for you. So it doesn't matter the level. I think that what matters is, are you going to play for the team that you're on? The second thing is you brought up the point about exposure. I think that that is a really important point to understand. Is your team going to play in the right events? That sounds obvious, but a lot of people will sell you on X, Y, and Z and then deliver you A, B, and C. And those two things are not the same. So let us please understand that when we're in these situations, there's two parts to this that I think are really important. And I've been more clear with my team this year than I have in years past about I'm going to give you the platform at TBS to be great. You have to play well. Like, I've always thought that that was just kind of enough.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you with how hard it is to get recruited right now and how difficult it is to get into that space, it 100% is not enough. It is not enough to play IMG. You have to be the best big on the court like Kamari Nicholson was. It is not enough to play Davidson Day or to play Fayetteville Academy or to play Forsyth. You have to deliver.
Yeah.
And so, in order for you to deliver, you have to be on the court, but you got to understand your preparation to play well in these big matchups in the live periods, in the games before that, it matters tremendously. And then the last thing, I mean, let's just be honest, Jeff, like this one is critical. Coaching. Like there has to be a level of organization. There has to be a level of coaching. There has to be a situation where all of us are in this situation where like we think that we can just show up and do excellent. You can't do that in this day and age. This decision is very important because you have to align yourself to the right people in order to take the steps that you need to take. Make sure that you're getting coached. To your point about development, you're not going to get development if you don't attend every practice and if you don't play for a coach who has very high standards of the way that you perform. You know, we've
Yeah.
celebrated Witt on this podcast multiple times. You can't knock what he does. You may not like what he says, but you can't knock what he does.
What's he say?
That's the difference. Yeah, what does he say? I don't want to, dare I not repeat it on this friendly podcast that we have, but he's a great example of someone who consistently does things the right way, competes against all different types of teams, and is very candid. And kids need that in this day and age. But my thing is, families and players, please, like, go where you're going to play. Go where you're going to have a chance to play in front of college coaches. And please try and pick a coach that is going to be in a situation where they're helping your kid get where they want to go. And if you need any help acknowledging who that is and is not, like you can ask the questions. Research is free, as Jeff always says.
Yeah. Well put.
Sound offs. I'm going to let you start it off, my man. We haven't done these in a while.
Yeah. I've just not been so angry lately. I've been
Yeah.
pretty happy with things. I'll let you go first.
So mine is mine is really a message to families that are in this space. You know, we had a conversation that I thought was really productive, you and I recently, where we kind of reflected on one of Trey Marshall, my son's recent practices at the YMCA. There is no one who will advocate for my son more than me. There is no one who will fight for him and Charlotte Grace more than I will as a father. But at the end of the day, I am their father. I am not their friend. I am not intending to be their friend, nor do I need them to be a friend of mine. And I'm hoping that as we start to see how challenging some of the recruiting space is in college basketball for however many kids and families claim that their kids deserve those opportunities. Parents, I implore you, this is not a time to be your child's friend. It's a time to celebrate with them when they're successful. It's a time to be very direct with them when they are not successful. But I'm hearing a lot of things right now in the space regarding AAU basketball where people are leaving decisions entirely up to kids. That's your parenting. I'm not here to judge anyone's parenting style. That's not my job. But I can tell you this much about my son. If Trey Marshall is blessed enough to be in a situation where he is a rising high school senior and his first opportunity in collegiate basketball is going to have something in the hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, then Trey Marshall is not going to be the only voice in the decision that takes place. And I understand the perspective that families have in that because it is important as young men that you make those decisions. But on the flip side, what I would challenge people on and challenge parents on is they need you to help them in that way. They need you to step in sometimes. And if you don't know all the information, Jeff has said this, and I've said this multiple times on this podcast, research is free. You can call me, you can call him, you can call someone you trust. There is someone great in this space who will help you get to the place where you need to go. We are very blessed to work in a state where, as much crap as we have and as much politics as exists, there are good people in this great state of North Carolina. Ultimately, I love the vision to empower your child to make that choice for whatever it is, AAU, high school, college, anything that you want. But please understand that they're going to need that extra voice too. And that would be my sound off is it can't just be an adolescent making a decision. There has to be a balance of, yes, this can take place. Yes, I agree with you. Please understand the pros and cons, et cetera, et cetera. But I know from the perspective of me, my son will always have a voice in his process so long as he's earned that. But he is not going to be the sole voice. I think that that's something that is very, very kind of lacking right now is let's give too much power to the voice of this person as opposed to no, like let's sit down and talk about this in a way that's gonna help you be your absolute best. So again, and the reason that a lot of this exists right now, Jeff, is because people are hard to trust. The easiest way to get people to do what you want is to oversell something, and then the easiest way to blame someone else is to underdeliver on what you sell.
Yeah.
So where I empathize with parents right now is there's a whole hell of a lot of overpromising and even more underdelivering. And I think that it's really hard to find those people that are real in this space in that regard. But parents, please understand, like your children need you right now more than ever. This space is so hard to navigate and deal with. But we're here to help if there's ever anything that you guys want to hear.
Yeah. That was really well put. So I'm gonna just skip my sound off, and we're gonna end on that note because that was great.
I mean, who knows? Like people will probably take offense to it in some capacity, but like guys, the reality is like it's more coming from a place of like they need your help. They need it. And if you are not able to give it, someone else is going to come in and steal that voice. And that's where things get dangerous. And that's where things really can end up negatively affecting kids. So, I think this has been a great episode, man. I've been happy to be back. I think that it's been awesome to kind of hit different pillars of basketball with AAU and high school and then the NBA. It definitely feels good to be back. I'm sure that you would agree.
Yeah, I agree. It was a fun episode. Hopefully, we can we'll leave enough space in between our episodes, and we'll figure out a nice pattern to where we can stay engaged.
Well, the next one, if we're doing a monthly basis, is going to be after the private school state championships. So there
Cool.
will be a lot to reflect on there, especially going into the public school states. There's some fascinating dynamics in public school state playoffs right now, which I think is really cool. So, hopefully next time that'll be a big talking point for us. But we appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you guys so much. I hope that if you have a snow day, you're tuned in, you're locked in, et cetera, et cetera. Um, you know, get through the week, baby. These are short weeks right now. We got
And
to get
roads are clear in
going.
Greensboro.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is that we're still closing as a result of that. But prioritize everyone's safety, and we'll talk to you guys soon.